So all of these stories so far have been like events that have been scary. I'm going to talk about more like long-term torture. I am going to talk about legacy systems that just won't die. And I was at RBC a mainframe system programmer, but I'm not actually going to talk about, people usually think mainframe, they think legacy, but mainframes aren't that bad. They're fairly modern, we update them all the time. You can use like JSON APIs, and like coding in assembler is awesome as well. So I'm not going to, it's not the mainframe that's the problem. What we were forced to support was something called ZVM. Has anybody heard of ZVM? No, nobody has heard of this. Because nobody uses it anymore except for, we were forced to support an unused life insurance system that still had policyholders that hadn't died yet. Yes, probably. Yeah, so I don't want to hope for people to die, but sometimes I do. So the managers were like, it's only going to be 2 years. We just have to wait for these people to die. I'm like, how do you know? How old are these people? Like, they could be, one girl just lived to be 122 recently. Who knows? So what happened is, I guess the person who supported it retired, and he was doing it for his whole life, I guess, and they couldn't find anybody, probably, or they didn't want to find anybody to support it, probably couldn't. So they were like, well, this is sort of like a mainframe, so why don't you guys support it? It was almost, but not entirely, unlike a mainframe. It had a green screen, which was similar. It had a different operating system, different commands, general navigation, different file structure. Basically, everything about it was different. So I was like, I'm an optimist, so I was like, whatever, we'll just read the manual. So I go to the IBM website, get the manual, and I'm going to read to you an excerpt from this manual. This is how old this system was. The keyboard looks like a lot like a typewriter keyboard. Many of the keys serve the same purpose as corresponding keys on a typewriter keyboard, but when you type on the ZVM keyboard, the information appears on the screen rather than a piece of paper. So, I mean, I guess we were, so I guess, sorting through that type of manual, it was very basic. There was a lot of, it was basically when computers just first existed, I guess. So we were forced to, I guess the 4 of us in our group just basically hacked away, tried to figure things out. We're like, whatever, nothing's going to change. These people aren't going to do anything until they die. But then, 2 years later, when not everybody had died, and it's still there, IBM's like, oh, we're not supporting this operating system anymore, so you have to upgrade it to the next version of the operating system. Which, upgrading an operating system in that kind of world takes about a year, so it's about a year of our life. I guess it's still being supported today. I no longer work there. I left. It's still there. They're all still alive, probably. Anyway, that's my story.